Would you be the jerk for buying a brand new TV for a friend after breaking theirs instead of just giving them the money for it? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for demanding my house guest pay me for what she drank? I, 29-year-old female, was asked by a friend, 27-year-old female, that I went to university with if she could stay a few days at my place on her vacation. She came a couple days ago and also brought her sister, 31-year-old female, which was fine with me. Her sister declined going out for dinner with us and wanted to stay in. That was fine, and we left and we went to eat. Well, turns out her sister is a recovering alcoholic and wasn't coping that well being in a different place. We come home a few hours later and I found out she got drunk and raided my liquor cabinet for what she could find. She ended up drinking my very expensive gin, $300 USD, that was given to me by my dad. It's not something I ever would have offered guests. When she woke up the next morning, I told her that she needed to pay me for it. I didn't even open it. She started freaking out, saying it was a mistake and that she couldn't afford the rest of her trip if that's what it really costs. I told her that she technically stole it from me and that she needed to pay me for it. My friend from uni says that her sister is struggling in recovery, but they really can't afford to compensate me without it ruining their trip. I asked them to leave, and they were both very upset about it. While I do understand that it was a moment of weakness, I still think she needs to pay me for it. If she broke it by accident, that would be a different story. Am I the jerk for wanting her to give me the money for it? In my opinion, moment of weakness or not, they still did pretty much steal that from OP. They never had permission to do that. They never had permission to rifle around on their stuff. If OP wants the value of that stuff back, I can't fault them. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? Our next story is, am I the jerk for mistaking someone else for the bride and made the actual bride cry? A few days ago, I went with my boyfriend to one of his late cousin's weddings. I never met this cousin or the bride since my boyfriend sees them like once or two times a year. We've been together for almost 3 years, so he thought it would be a good time to introduce me to them. My boyfriend told me he wanted to introduce them to me before the actual ceremony started, so we were going to meet them, but my boyfriend got a call. So he told me to wait a moment and got a little far so he wouldn't have been interrupted. 2 minutes after that, I saw a woman with a beautiful wedding dress. I said hello and that I congratulated her for the wedding, and this is when things went wrong. The woman I was talking to wasn't the bride. The bride heard what I said. She was in a room near us, but I didn't notice because everything was silent. The bridesmaid or her mother weren't with her. I guess she just wanted time alone before the ceremony started and got upset and started crying. When my boyfriend approached us, I explained him the situation, so he called the bridesmaid and the mom to calm her. My boyfriend and his family reassured me, saying it wasn't my fault, but the bride, her mom, and the groom are upset with me and are saying it's all my fault. I never saw her face, so when I saw a woman in a wedding dress, I immediately thought she was the bride. I still feel bad, so a friend suggested me to post this in Reddit to have some outside opinions. Am I the jerk? I mean, I could take this as an honest enough mistake. You see somebody in a wedding dress at a wedding, you probably assume, oh, that must be the bride, right? I think as long as you're apologetic enough and say, listen, I messed up, I made a mistake. Is that really that much of a jerk move? If anything, they should be upset at the person who wore a wedding dress to somebody else's wedding, not OP for making that mistake. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my roommate her boyfriend can't sleep over 5 nights a week? It's pretty straightforward. My roommate's boyfriend is over 5 days a week. I told her he can't be here 5 to 6 days a week because I pay to live with one other person, not 2. Our place also only has 1 bathroom. She's upset with me and thinks I'm being unreasonable because I have my boyfriend over too. My boyfriend is over 2 nights a week at most on the weekend. Usually it's only once cause I work weekends. I feel like it's reasonable to ask for a boyfriend not to fully live with us without paying. I'm with OP here. If they're over all the time, at least make it up in some way, do a bunch of work around the apartment or whatnot. But ultimately, yeah, I'm with OP. You're paying for this place that's supposed to be split between 2 people. You shouldn't be having to live around a third person, especially the couple, and you kind of feel like you're third wheeling it in the place where you're supposed to be living. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to let my sister apologize to my fiance so she can be at our wedding? I, 27-year-old male, have 5 siblings, and one of my sisters, Ava, 26-year-old female, has been awful to my fiancé, Reese, 27-year-old female, since they met. The biggest thing is transphobia, and Reese isn't even trans, but Ava made up her mind when they met that she was. She's made some really awful comments about Reese being a dude, about Reese needing more hormones to make her sound more feminine because she does an awful job of it, and just other awful comments like that. Ava makes most of these comments made on the fact that my fiance has a traditionally male name, even if the spelling is more popular for girls, and her voice isn't as gentle and soft as Ava thinks it should be. We ended up cutting Ava out because of this. I told her to stop. I set boundaries and Ava refused to respect them. Now that we're engaged, the issue has come up that all my other siblings are in the wedding, and Ava's now upset that she's being left out. My parents told her to try and apologize, so she reached out to ask if we'd let her be in the wedding if she apologizes. She said she wants to go back to normal. I told her I wouldn't believe her apology after all this time and would see it as her having FOMO, fear of missing out. She told me it's not fair and it's been over 2 years. I told her she had 2 years to try and make amends. My parents think I'm being too hard on Ava and should let her apologize and find a way to move on. They said Reese can surely say what kind of apology she would need to be able to move on from this. Reese told me she's glad I took the stand because she didn't want to be the bad guy within the family, but she's also not over the way Ava spoke to her and the things Ava would say about her. Reese's brother is trans, so we're also aware that if Ava would speak that way to her when Reese isn't trans, what would she say to my future brother-in-law? Ava is ticked I won't give her a chance, and my parents are siding more with her than I would like. They say I should be willing to try. Am I the jerk? Absolutely not the jerk here. Somebody like this, you know that apology isn't even genuine, especially when they have to go out of the way and say, hey, what kind of apology do you want me to give you that will make it all okay? Yeah, because there's going to be an answer that's going to make it all okay in that situation. Hey, sorry for irrationally bullying you about things that literally are just you, and doing it unapologetically for years. Is there anything I can say to go to your wedding? Absolutely not, right? Our next story is, am I the jerk for not wanting to follow my sister-in-law's rules for her wedding and saying her insecurities aren't my fault? My female 27, brother, male 34, and his fiancée, female 31, are getting married soon. My husband and I got our invitation, all fine. However, this is the problem I'm having with them. I'm not a bridesmaid / in the bridal party because I have a baby, and as she's very young, 4 months now, and I was either pregnant or with a newborn during most of the wedding planning, it was for the best. So I'm just a regular guest as everyone else, right? Well, my brother and his fiancée came over a few days after they sent the invitations because they wanted to talk to me. My future sister-in-law basically told me she's gotten a dress for me and she'll love for me to wear it for their wedding. I was kind of like, okay, thanks, but why? You know? At first, she didn't want to tell me that they've chosen a dress for me, but finally she told me that I tend to draw too much attention to me. Last year, our other brother got married, and my future sister-in-law thinks that she doesn't want to risk having me show up similarly to their wedding. By the way, I wasn't wearing an inappropriate dress or white, anything like that. I was wearing a normal formal dress. I was very confused by this and I asked what she meant, because as I said, I know how to dress up for a wedding. I reassured her that she shouldn't worry about being outshined, because for starters, it's her wedding day and everyone will be paying attention to the bride and groom. And secondly, I won't wear an inappropriate dress with like too much cleavage or something. Her family is rather conservative, so I thought maybe she was more scared of her family's reactions. We discussed this for a while, and she told me that the problem is my weight. She's a little overweight and I'm not. Always had problems gaining weight, even while pregnant, so she feels insecure, and that's why she wants me to wear a dress that would cover me completely. This is where I think I might be the jerk. I told her that her insecurities were not my problem, and that it was weird to ask me to wear a certain dress just because I'm skinnier than her. She told me that she knew I'd have this reaction because supposedly I always want to be the focus of attention. She also said that my life has always been easier and it's not fair that I want to steal her wedding day as well. I asked her if she was doing this with every other woman who was skinnier attending the wedding, and she said no. So I told her that was a crappy move. We argued, and then my husband and brother got in between us too, so they argued as well, and finally we kicked them out. But not before I told them to enjoy their dang day because I wasn't attending the wedding, for which they accused me of being a drama queen and wanting to embarrass them by not going. Well, I'm more calm on this, and this has caused quite a fight in our family as well. I admit that I was so tired and stressed that day because my baby had been sick all the prior